guys, welcome back to another video here with me at the Aspiring Home Cook. Today we are making gingerbread fudge. This is a quick and easy recipe that comes together with hardly any effort and is perfect for those who are hard pressed for time around this time of the year. Now while I would love to bake some gingerbread cookies, it's too hot to turn the oven on. So I've opted for the easier way to enjoy all those beautiful flavors of Christmas with this fudge. Let's take a look at the ingredients you're going to need. I've got one little tin of condensed milk. This is the typical 395 gram tin. Now over here I've got some white chocolate melts. That's 350 grams of white chocolate. You can use a larger bar and chop it up into little pieces as well. We're going to need 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 tablespoon of molasses, and we are going to need some beautiful spices. What I have here is 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground cloves. This is very strong, so go easy on it, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Now, of course, this is a combination that we really like. Feel free to go ahead and adjust the levels of spices to suit your preferences. Now, you have the option of dressing up your fudge a little bit more with some Christmas themed sprinkles. Today, I'm going to leave my fudge as is because I think it turns out really beautiful just the way it is. Now, another thing that I forgot to mention earlier is butter. You're going to need 30 grams of butter. Now, before we can start cooking our fudge, I would recommend prepping a pan that you can use to cool your fudge in. Here, I've just got a 9-inch square cake tray that I've lined with some foil. What I have done is I've left a little overhang on all 4 sides with 2 of these opposite ends with a little extra overhang. That way I can use those extra pieces of foil as a handle and just pull the fudge out of the tray without any trouble. To cook my fudge today, I've got a nice heavy stainless steel pan. I haven't turned the heat on yet. I'm just going to add the initial set of ingredients to the pan first. So into the pan goes my condensed milk. At this point, I'm going to turn my heat on to a medium-low. And while that condensed milk gently warms up, we're going to add in our butter. I'm going to give everything a good stir here to help that butter melt into the condensed milk. And once you can see the butter melting, you can go ahead with the next set of ingredients. I'm adding 1 tablespoon of molasses. Now, if you don't have molasses, you can also use some melted goa jaggery, the coconut jaggery. It has the exact same flavor profile. Into the pan goes a teaspoon of vanilla. We're going to give everything a little bit of a stir to help it mix together thoroughly. And then I'm going to tip in my chocolate melts. Now remember, the smaller your pieces of chocolate, the easier it will melt down. Also, your chocolate fudge will only be as good as your chocolate. So please make sure that you try and get your hands on some good quality white chocolate here. Stir everything through, and like you can see, in a few seconds, the white chocolate starts melting down. Because the other ingredients in the pan are already warm, this process becomes really quick and really simple. Now at this stage, my chocolate has almost all melted, so I'm going to go ahead and add my spices. I'm putting just all of the spices in together and stir that through thoroughly to make sure that there are no clumps of that spice mix anywhere. You need to make sure that everything is thoroughly incorporated and mixed through at this stage. Also feel around for any chunks of chocolate that may have not yet melted and help them on their way by just gently pressing them with the back of your spatula or a spoon. As soon as your chocolate has melted down completely and everything is well mixed through, you will notice that the fudge mix starts to thicken. And at that point, you can turn the heat off and we're immediately going to take the fudge off the heat. Pour that mix into your prepped pan and give the tray a few light taps just to chase out any air bubbles that might have formed. That pan gets a little warm at this stage, so be a little careful. Check and see whether you can handle it. If not, go ahead and get yourself some oven mitts and give it a little bit of a tap down. If you want to top your fudge with some sprinkles, now's the time you would sprinkle them over and very gently press them down into the fudge so that they stay put. Now I'm going to let this cool on my kitchen counter till it comes to room temperature, after which I'm going to pop it in the fridge for a minimum of 4 to 6 hours or overnight to set completely. Fast forward to the next morning, I've left this in the fridge overnight. Just be a little careful and make sure that no one has any accidents while taking things in or out of the fridge. Anyway, that doesn't matter because I can easily cut off that portion. Like you can see, everything has set really well. And what I'm going to do is carefully peel off that foil before I can proceed with cutting it. I'm just going to flip the tin over and use that as a base to cut my fudge on. Now I'm using a cleaver to cut this down into pieces. You can use any sharp knife of your choice. I just find that with a flat-ish blade like this, I get slightly straighter cuts than I would if I were using, compared to if I was using any other knife. Use a knife you're comfortable with, but make sure that it's nice and sharp. And go ahead and cut your fudge into little pieces. Remember, this fudge is also a fairly rich one, so you don't want gigantic pieces. So make sure you cut these into appropriate sized pieces. And we're going to flip that over and cut across in the other direction. Like you can see, that fudge has set beautifully and I've had absolutely no trouble cutting into it. The knife comes out clean and you get really clean cuts. Your gorgeous gingerbread fudge is now ready to serve. If you're not serving it immediately, I would recommend popping this back in the fridge in an airtight container. What I do is I line the container with a little bit of baking paper. And if you've got a taller container and you need to stack multiple layers of this sweet, I would recommend putting a piece of baking paper or parchment paper between those layers as well. That will prevent these pieces of fudge from potentially sticking to one another. However, if you're going to serve it right away, you can just take these out on a plate and you're good to go. Now, this recipe is an absolute hit for those that don't care too much for dark chocolate and prefer white chocolate instead. Last Christmas, I shared a recipe for a beautiful indulgent dark chocolate fudge and I had a few white chocolate lovers missing out on the action. So this year around, I've decided to show you what you can do with some beautiful white chocolate too. And there you have it, guys. You've got the most beautiful, delectable gingerbread fudge ready in minutes. The hardest part is waiting for those 4 to 6 hours for it to set. Now have a look at that texture inside. It's beautiful, it's creamy, it's soft, but it's not sticky at the same time. It has set really well. And the flavors absolutely scream Christmas. It's got those beautiful warming spices. And for people like us who are headed into the hottest time of the year, this is the perfect alternative to those beautiful gingerbread cookies. That being said, I'm really hoping that the weather cools down for a couple of days so that I can turn my oven on and bake a few holiday treats. So if you're a fan of those beautiful holiday flavors and spices and you're looking for a quick and easy recipe that's also delicious at the same time, go ahead and give this one a try. You are absolutely going to love it. And that's my quick and easy gingerbread fudge recipe for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with family and friends. Also, if you're new here and you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to my channel, and once you do, click on that little bell icon so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. And if you're looking for more holiday inspiration, I have a whole bunch of Christmas recipe videos that I've uploaded on my channel already. I'll leave a link to the entire playlist for you in the description box below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to see you really soon with another delicious recipe. So till then, take care. Bye.